Hey everyone, it's Daniel from Phone Arena with a video comparison between the LG Optimus G Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S3. The S3 remains one of the most sought after handsets. That's why we're staging a quick comparison with LG's newest flagship darling here, the Optimus G Pro. We use the Korean version of the G Pro that is currently out on the market and sports a 5.5-inch panel, unlike the 5-inch variation announced for Japan. LG said the G Pro will arrive in North America next quarter, but didn't specify which screen size will make it across the pond. Granted, being a newer generation device, the G Pro beats the S3 in almost every specs category, but Samsung has managed to create its finest future-proof and keeps it relevant with thoughtful software updates. So let's dig in and examine which is the one for you. If one-handed navigation is more important, or you're simply not into giant handsets, the much more compact 4.8-inch Samsung Galaxy S3 will be right up your alley, as it is very thin and light for the screen size and has a pretty ergonomic rounded shape throughout. LG has also done a very good job keeping the G Pro as light and compact as possible with this 5.5-inch panel, reducing the side bezel to a minimum, and it is much taller than the Samsung Galaxy S3, as you can see, but almost as wide or not much wider. So one-handed navigation is still in the cards, provided that LG didn't slap the back key here on the left, which requires finger acrobatics each time you have to use it unless you're a lefty. Both handsets use plastic for the chassis and sport removable glossy black covers, allowing you to easily swap the battery or add more memory. The Optimus G Pro intros two unique features that the S3 doesn't have: a physical Q button here on the left, which lets you launch any app on the phone you've mapped to it, and an infrared sensor here at the top to control your TV, AC, set-top box and the like, which we found to be very handy on a daily basis. You can change channels on your gym TV, for instance, without looking for the remote forgotten somewhere on the 20 treadmills. The 5.5-inch Optimus G Pro panel sports excellent 401 ppi pixel density on account of the 1080 by 1920 pixel of Full HD resolution. The Galaxy S3 features a more humble 4.8-inch 720 by 1280 display with 306 pixels per inch. With S3, the colors are oversaturated, as you can see, to the point of gaudiness, and they're also much colder compared to the toned-down, accurate picture produced by the G Pro. Where the S3 has the upper hand is in its deep blacks, which makes watching movies a joy. And there are also screen modes that scale down the color saturation if it annoys you. What you can't do anything about, however, is the very low screen brightness of Samsung's handsets. The Optimus G Pro is almost twice as bright and with very low screen reflectance too, so it sports much better outdoor visibility under direct sunlight. As far as viewing angles go, both the Super AMOLED display on the S3 and the IPS LCD panel on the G Pro perform very well from all sides. We get LG's usual Optimus UI and Samsung's Nature UX overlays on top of Android 4.1.2 interface. Both offer connectivity toggles and brightness adjustments directly from the notification bar, but LG prevails with a dedicated landscape mode for the Optimus UI, which Samsung doesn't offer. Samsung, on the other hand, handles multitasking well via this multi-window mode here, which lets you start two applications at once. Split the screen. I have messaging and browser, for example, so I can tap in the meantime, as well as this hovering keyboard here. LG has the Q Slide Apps function, where you can pin one or two apps like browser, video player, calculator, notes. They can be activated from the notification bar, moved, resized, made more transparent, and you can do anything else underneath. The Q slide ups can be activated, but there are only 7 of them in total. Still, the much larger display on the G Pro makes these hovering apps more useful than the fairly limited in comparison real estate on the S3, despite that you can split its screen to use any 2 applications there are on the phone. LG also offers 2 features that the Galaxy 3 doesn't have, like the Q Remote app that uses the IR Blaster to control the electronics around, and the programmable Q button, which you can map to launch any application of your choosing, like the camera, then use it as a physical shutter key. The Optimus G Pro flaunts the newest generation quad-core Qualcomm chipset, 1.7 GHz Snapdragon 600, while the Galaxy S3 has a quad-core Exynos 4412, clocked at 1.4 GHz for the international version, and a dual-core 1.5 GHz Snapdragon in the US variations. The newer Qualcomm design in the G Pro has the upper hand in benchmarks, yet both handsets run Jelly Bean very well and chew through any app thrown at them in your daily routines. Another advantage of the G Pro is that it comes with 2 GB of RAM compared to 1 GB in the international version of the S3, while the US ones also support 2 GB. The basic Galaxy S3 has 16 GB of storage plus a microSD slot, while the Optimus G Pro supports twice that amount of internal memory from the box, in addition to the card slot. As you can see, we scored 11,858 on the G Pro and 5,717 on the Samsung Galaxy S3. There are 2 great stock browsers on the G Pro and the S3, which are very snappy in rendering, scrolling or panning around, and both allow you to install Adobe Flash, even though the handsets run Android Jelly Bean. The Galaxy S3 offers 4G LTE and HSPA Plus connectivity depending on the carrier, though it's lower 21 megabits than the G Pro, which on top of that has a more versatile integrated multi-band 4G radio. We also get all flagship staples like Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi Direct, Bluetooth 4.0 assisted GPS, DONA and NFC on both phones, while the G Pro tops it off with Miracast. Both picture and video galleries have a few tricks up their sleeves, apart from the built-in identical picture editing. Samsung, for instance, splits the screen in 2, with the folder structure on the left and the content on the right, taking advantage of the large display to make navigation easier. LG, on the other hand, offers this handy thumbnail zoom function that rescales the thumb size by pinching with your fingers directly in the gallery interface. Samsung's music player lets you select equalizer presets directly here from within the interface, and sound modes as well, while LG only has a Dolby mobile surround sound switch for headset mode, but features this handy YouTube button that takes you to an automatically created video playlist of the song currently played. The loudspeakers on both handsets are nothing to write home about, but they do the job comparatively loud and clear. Both the Optimus G Pro and the Galaxy S3 have functional video players with plenty of settings like pop-up play function, loop and subtitle support, as well as zoom during playback. The phones also support any popular format out of the box. Of course, when you load a full HD movie like this one, the G Pro will show it in its full glory, but the deep blacks and the saturated colors of the Galaxy S3 make every footage appear pretty vibrant, so you might be willing to disregard any hardly perceivable differences between HD and Full HD definitions at normal viewing distance. The Optimus G Pro offers a 13 megapixel camera on the rear, while the Galaxy S3 has an 8 megapixel unit. Both phones offer HDR shots, but with LG the wide dynamic range footage applies to video capture as well. Samsung's camera app interface supports more scene presets and color effects than the Optimus UI, but LG counters with some new options like the virtual 360 degrees panorama stitching, as well as the dual recording mode while shooting video that captures footage with both the front and rear cameras at once, picture-in-picture style, and you can swap between them while shooting. The Optimus G Pro produces well-defined photos which, after the latest software update, appear with boosted contrast and color saturation, making them more appealing for the eye out of the box. The Galaxy S3 photos are a tad more accurate in terms of color representation, but appear blender, and the white balance measurement in contrasting light situations throws the colors off more than on the G Pro. The gray sky in the S3 photos appears purplish all around, for example, which happens with the G Pro as well, but to a much smaller extent. Both phones can capture Full HD 1080p video with 30 frames per second, but the footage from the G Pro appears more fluid, with less skipped frames and high contrast, which makes it more visually appealing. The sound captured by the G Pro's microphones is also much fuller than the wimpy recordings from the Galaxy S3. Being this year's fresh spring crop, the Optimus G Pro predictably outshines last year's Samsung flagship in almost every category, with the most important being display quality and processing power. It also offers a few novel features like the programmable Q button here on the side and a very useful on a daily basis IR blaster. If you want a handset that is easier to manage with one hand though, the S3 is one of the lightest and most compact big screen phones out there, yet LG has done an excellent job at keeping the weight and dimensions of the 5.5-inch G Pro in check too. The S3 sports one very important advantage before the high-end G Pro, however, and it is a lower price tag, as LG's phone can currently only be imported for north of $800. So if you don't have to be on the bleeding edge of technology, it might all balance out for you. This was a video comparison between the LG Optimus G Pro and the Samsung Galaxy S3 from Phone Arena. For more information about these and other handsets, you can visit us at phonearena.com. Thanks for watching.